And we are back. Sorry for that break. Unfortunate thing of our times. We need to switch to those side of things. But we are back live from Spa-Francorchamps. This is RaceFace 24 Hours of Spa. Proudly brought to you by RaceFace.Pro, Resource Complete, Karibu Networks and Extreme Service Center. Let's quickly have a look to see who is where. Just get our cameras sorted out a minute. Driving along with this man over here, Cody Sherritt, seeing a nice cockpit view of his car. And while we are at it, let's just quickly get a little bit better information on the screen. Having a look at those deltas between the cars. As you can see at this stage, fortunately no close battles out on track. We do have Andries de Prier. He's 5.3 seconds behind Bernard Barkhuizen, trying to close down that gap, but having said that, Bernard Barkhuizen is also trying to open the gap to Andries de Prier. Then moving up a little bit further up the field, Ron van der Westhuizen, he's trying to chase down Sean Skitter, who is 7.4 seconds ahead, further up the field, further up the road. So he's trying to close that gap down to him. While I am busy, let's just quickly get our YouTube and everything up and running again, so that we can monitor those chats and see what everybody has to say on the YouTube channel. Right, now I've got the chat open as well, so now we can see what everybody is saying about the race today. Oopsie, I see we still say part 2. This is actually part 3. We'll get that sorted for our next stint, which this one we can take through to about 9 o'clock tonight. Unfortunately, we'll have to do another switch over. As I said, that's pretty much the story of our times. But we're going to try and bring as much as possible of the action to everybody right through this 24-hour race, right through up until tomorrow afternoon, roughly 12 o'clock, when this race will come to an end. At this stage, still 17 hours and 52 minutes left of this race. So at this stage we still have Cody Sherritt in the car. He's leading the race, more than a lap ahead of Ryan Ottens, who's trying to chase him down, and we have spoken about this before. Over the course of 24 hours there's a lot that can change. Third place we've got Vincent Nell. He's 55 seconds behind Ryan Ottens, making his way around the track. So the cameraman Tim seems to have a lazy moment each time they go down this camel straight. But then Sean Skitter in 4th place in the LNR BMW. And then 5th place Ron van der Westhuizen, also in the BMW. Then Bego Grobler in the big blue Mercedes. He's still out there fighting his way around the track. And then Ethan Lacuna. He's now made his way into the Audi. And he's fighting his way around the track. And see if he can make up a little bit of time for AC and the guys. Moving on to 8th place, we've got RVMR. He is still in the luxury time racing BMW. Thijs Brits now, 9th position. making his way around the track. Byron Kutzer in the pink Mercedes. Don't see too much screen time. The pink Mercedes, awesome looking livery, standing out, that Hybrid Academy livery. So they're pretty much making sure that everybody will be able to see them when things start getting dark out there. Guillaume Maton in 11th place in the BMW. Reino Pieterse in the McLaren, making his way around the Karibu Networks car. They're still very much in this in 12th position. They're still very much in it to try and get that top 10 position, but not far behind. 7.6 seconds behind is Bernard Barkhuizen. So Bernard Barkhuizen will be trying to close that gap and maybe put Reino under a little bit of pressure in the next couple of laps or so. But 6.9 seconds behind is Andries de Priya in 14th position in the logistical nightmare BMW. They're trying to just keep things steady and keep things consistent and trying to maximize those lap times. Then George Rotenbach in 15th position in the Aston Martin, make his way around this fast flat out section, going through this flat out left hander. He's coming up to the bus stop chicane to complete yet another lap of Spa and yet another lap of this 24-hour race. Then Jason Luck, 16th position in the Honda, making his way also around the bus stop chicane now. He's only 6.9 seconds behind George Rotenbach. And then Tina Nkube, 25 seconds behind. He's making his way around with, sitting just behind one of the cars. That's not actually pole position. It's a car that's on a different lap than him. Graham Moll in the Aston Martin, making his way around. Doe Gerber in 19th position. Now Doe and Paul and Jeff, they've had a little bit of bad luck during the race, and they're trying to fight their way back from 19th position. With Reinhard Harman 41 seconds behind in 20th, and Reginald Ntaledi rounding up the field in 21st place. Jude, you're asking how many stops have the people done. I'm still waiting for my software to do a catch-up after the restart, so it is unfortunately not a question I can answer at this stage. The thing I actually want to quick have a look at it is who is with whom in what team. So let's run through it. First place, we've got currently Cody Sherritt driving, but he's driving with Jordan Sherritt and Luke Addison. Then second place, currently we've got Ryan Ottens driving, but he's driving with Christopher Radloff and Tariq Adams. So, and then we'll move on to third position, which is Vincent Nell. He's driving with Ron van der Walt and Dino Kier. So the top three teams at this stage, all racing with only three drivers. Only three drivers doing the 24. Moving on to fourth place, the Alan R. Logistical Nightmare Racing car. Currently we've got Sean Skitter at the wheel, but they're racing with Paul Fenter, Ryan Barrington-Smith, Sean Stradom, Sean Buck and Alex Moore. So, you know, they've got a pretty strong 5-man team to compete. Fifth place, currently driving Ruan van der Westhuizen. Now Ruan is driving with Martin Rotenbach, Jean Leroux, Jaco Nordia, Bertus Hugo, Mr. Raceface, and Kurt Glashagen. We're going to wait for Steven to start calling him Kurt Glaschke. Then fifth place, currently Bego Grobler at the wheel, but he's driving with Jason McGregor, JW Falskink and Daniel Rowe. Now, it remains to be seen if Daniel is going to drive a little bit later on. We did speak about it a bit earlier on in the stream. Remember, Daniel is also racing today at Killarney, so I don't know, after his 9-hour race there, he might just pop in and do the 24 hour as well. 6th place, currently driving Ethan Lacuna, but he's driving with Jan Kleinans, WT Buerta, Ruan Kleinans, and SC Esterhuizen that pops into the commentary every now and then Henry Meyer. 7th place, we have currently driving Arvia Maria, but with him is Flip van Sale that also was in the commentary box earlier, Brandon Holzhausen, Sean Lorerio, Jude Neville, Jude, how do we pronounce your surname? And Dylan Hall. Apparently, as you heard earlier, Flip also said that Dylan is racing F400 karts today, so he will only take over in the early hours of the morning. In 8th position, currently driving Matthijs Brits, but with him is Rowan Sillier, Gregory Carney, Mutha Musa, Gunther Kruger, and Darius de Toy. 10th place, Justin Lote is currently at the wheel of the Hybrid Academy Mercedes, the pink Mercedes, but with him driving Eric Costain, Hansi Mayberg, Byron Kutzer, Werner Skuman and Gerard Janse van Vieren. 9th place, we've got a 3-car team as well. 9th place, Guillaume Ton driving at the moment, with him Daniel de Villiers and Cameron de Bastos. All 3 of them already have been in the car. 13th place, currently in the pits, Reino Pieterse, with him Tinus Buerta, Gavin Scruton and Devin Alice. So nice 4-car team to share the driving on that car. 11th place, currently at the wheel, Bernard Barkhuizen. He's trying to fight his way back up the field after being 3rd at one stage. With him is Lazar Kavour, Bernard King, Gideon Rennert and Brandon Kruger. In 12th place, we've got Andries de Pree currently driving, but with him Neal Bouillon, Lee Bouillon, Neil Greening and Wilfred Robson. Sorry about that. 13th place, George Rotenbach currently at the wheel, but with him also is Steve Fensom, Tony Fensom, Francois Potgieter, Pieter Maar and Johan Davidson. So nice 5-man team that can take the fight to the rest of the field. 15th place, currently driving Jason Luck. With Jason Luck is Eugene van Rolkenberg, Lionel Klue and Diebold Nel. 17th place, Tino Akube currently at the wheel, but with him Dean Cabassa, Mark Cabassa and Grant Sebastian. 18th place, Graham Mole currently driving, Altman Buerta, Peter Solomon and Janre Buerta with him in the team. Then we've got Team Try Hard Racing. Currently at the wheel, Doe Gerber, with him his brother Paul Gerber, Jeff Hancock and Arno Kraus. Then Reinhard Hallman at the wheel in 20th place, with him Rudolf Blichnout, Sebastian Kapelianis, I hope I pronounced that right, and Jaco Kraus. Now, that is the field that will be competing. Now, some of these drivers have not driven yet, and they will only take the wheel a little bit later on. So, we can look forward to mixing up the fields a little bit later on with new drivers heading out on track. Just an interesting thing. We can also have a look at the speeds these guys are currently driving. I actually want to focus on let's focus on Cody Sherritt, because he's currently on that Camel Straight. Let's see what he gets up to just before he hits the brakes. Currently up to 263 just before he hit the brakes. So these guys are getting up to some quite serious speed down that straight after pit exit after Eau Rouge. So currently closest battle on track, Jason Luck, who is 2.3 seconds behind George Rotenbach. He's trying to close that gap up. Oh, they're just picking up a little bit of a tank slapper there, and I don't know if that was a bit of commentator's curse. So maybe rear end of the Honda, just stepping out a little bit, so he has dropped back to just 2.6 seconds, and he's trying to close the gap on George Rotenbach in the Aston Martin. So yet again we're going to see a battle between a front-engined and a mid-rear-engined vehicle. Tino Nkube only 0.3 of a second now behind Gavin Schluton. They did a pit stop, so this is a nice little battle. We haven't seen this close a battle in a long time. So let's stick with this one and see how Nkube and Schluton can, just liven things up a bit. So Jude, thank you. It seems like I got the pronunciation of your surname kind of right. As I said, wait until later on. Certainly people joining us in the commentary box there. Have a bit of a laugh, but don't tell them I said that. So Tino Nkube just 0.2 of a second behind Gavin Schluton. Let's just quickly hop on to that helicam. See these two as they go down what you can basically call the back straight on Spa, because it is not exactly straight, but it is flat out. You can tuck into that slipstream behind the car in front of you, as we see Nkube gaining all the time. Gavin just trying to go a little bit defensive as we see them coming up to the bus stop. Tino Nkube gaining under braking, but not close enough to attempt a passing maneuver at this stage, and he's going to stick behind Gavin and see what he can do come the other side of Eau Rouge, where we can yet again tuck into that slipstream and let's see if he can make the pass before what is essentially turn 4. Francois, good evening. We're still going. And to do our... Oh no! Gavin lost it through Eau Rouge. The rear end of that McLaren stepped out. Making contact with the wall again. Let's hope the front of that McLaren hasn't sustained too much damage, because that will most definitely hurt the aero on that car. It will affect the amount of understeer. It will hurt the tires. See, it's got a little bit of a bent front end, so let's see if they're gonna keep the car out, the Karibu Networks car, if they're gonna keep it out on track, or if they're gonna decide to rather pit it. But unfortunately, Gavin spinning out through Eau Rouge. Now, we have spoken about it earlier on how you can get it wrong all by yourself, and unfortunately Gavin, the rear end of the car, letting go and unfortunately making contact with the wall. Francois, you're waiting for load shedding to end to do your next stint. Yeah, I'm currently load shedding. So that's why we do the switch overs, and we do the switch overs for two reasons: to switch over to backup power and just to break up the stream, because as we already know, you can't stream 24 hours on YouTube in one go, so we need to break it up, and we decided that load shedding would be the time to break it up, because that's how we can keep it manageable. We're actually now on part 3, not part 2 as the stream says, but we'll sort that out and make the next one part 4. Just keeping with Gavin to see if he's gonna pit the McLaren, or is he gonna stay out. Taking this lap just to feel how the car is, if the car's sustained enough damage to warrant a pit stop. Nope, he's going to carry on his way, so he still feels comfortable with that car. Lucky to get away with minimal damage, losing it throughout Eau Rouge. Now Jason Luck, he's 1.3 seconds behind George Rotenbach, so he's still there trying to make his way past. He had a little bit of a tank slapper 1 or 2 laps ago, which made him fall back a bit, but he's closed that gap up, and maybe we can get a bit of racing going out on track during this 24 hours. Now Francois, I'm also on a generator, So that's why we do the switchovers. I still want to invest in a UPS for the PC to keep it on and the internet on, during the switchover phases. But as I said, because of the load shedding, and we anyway need to break up the YouTube stream, so we decided, it's a good time to break it up. Let's go, George, number 41. Almost for a second thought you're talking about George Russell, but obviously not. You're talking about George Rodenbach, and currently 14th position. So how are things going for you guys during the 24? You running 14th at this stage? Or are you happy, or would you like to be higher up in the field? Yeah, I agree with you. Inverters are expensive, and I don't think it's a discussion we can go into, but I still have mixed feelings about it. So having a look at George Rodenbach making his way around the track. We can now see Matthijs Brits. For a second thought we had a battle on our hands, but nope. Jason Luck, 1.8 seconds behind this man, George Rodenbach. So let's see if we can stay in front. I don't know, Francois, what do you think? Will your man be able to stay in front of Jason Luck? Jason doesn't seem to be closing that gap. It's staying about 1.5, 1.8 seconds. It's not really making a great impact at this side. So maybe you and Luck and George can stay in front. Wow. So you say it's your first 24, so you're happy to stay there and be consistent. A bunch of us have only done like 2 normal races, so still new. Pretty happy coming from 20th. Well, Francois, if this is your first 24, you are, what is it now? Almost going on 6.5, 7.5 hours into the race. You've done pretty well. The real mental thing is going to come tomorrow morning. I find it, that stint between 2 o'clock and 6 o'clock in the morning, I find horrible. I find it mentally draining. You're starting to become tired, and your body wants sleep, and that's where it's for me the hardest time to keep it out on the track. Smith Engelbrecht saying, no man, with the price of sim gear, the inverter is the easy part. Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that one, Smith. There's a couple of expensive sim gear equipment out there. I saw a discussion the other day on sim racing groups on a set of pedals that were almost 50,000 rand. So it's something to keep in mind. Well, that's nice to have. You've got a couple of guys from Britain. But just to tell you an interesting story, we race in the European Championship, and because of the time difference, we race, depending on daylight savings time, we race 10, 11 o'clock at night. And sometimes that late, we race on Sunday evening, so sometimes that late on Sunday evening I don't want to start the generator, and I said to the guys, we'll miss the race because of load shedding. And we had to explain to the guys what load shedding is, because they didn't understand the concept of us not having power 2.5 to 4 hours at a time. And once we were done explaining it to them, their reply was, but can't they just fix it? Justadinho, enjoying the first 24-hour, good to be back on ACC. Great racing from all this far. Well, just glad you are enjoying it as we watch these cars battle around this track, trying to keep it together. it's certainly not an easy thing. Jason Luck has now closed that gap just a little bit. He's now only 0.8 of a second behind George. So let's see how this battle unfolds. Yeah, they can't believe it. Yeah, they couldn't believe it. They can't believe that our power actually gets switched off. And you know, the solution for them is just that simple. So, just your car 999. So Vincent driving now. You say, well, you're giving away a bit of strategy there. I like it. So your stint is to get in 4 laps. So we know now that Vincent's going to pit in 4 laps. Alan, thanks for that one. Yeah, things tend to change a bit around. So you say the game audio is a bit louder. Let me just turn down that game audio a little bit and let me know how it is now. Yeah, Smith, the only problem is we only started at 11 o'clock and then we race till after 12. And Francois, I also get the same thing. Why don't you just fix it? Even when I worked in the US. Yeah, they can't believe it. They said, why don't you just fix it? Okay, Alan, thanks a lot for the comments. And it's Alan, it's a pity that you guys aren't driving as in this Enduro. Francois put his cents on petrol. Is that for the Jenny? So let's have a look and see what's going on in the stream. And I'm going to say it again, if anybody wants to come and join me, just head over to the interview room. I'll pull you through to the commentary box and we have a bit of a chat to see how your day has been going, you know, since we started this race, and what are your plans for the rest of the race as we have a look at Vincent. So now I'm waiting for that car to pit. Just let's see if that car pits in 4 laps so that you can start your stint. But currently 5th place, Ron van der Westhuizen in the pits. You see a couple of cars starting to make the pit stops. Jason Luck also in the pits in 17th position. So it is starting to look like we are going to start our next round of pit stops. As we have a look at Ron van der Westhuizen exiting the pits. Oh, that's a pity. So Alan's saying you couldn't get the teammates, and then Cody joined Jordan. So that's a pity that your team is not participating in this 24-hour. Yeah, Francois, I agree with you. The 4-hour load shedding is not fun. And let me tell you, the generator isn't always the cheapest thing. Mine runs on about 30 Rand an hour. So to run it for 4 hours, you're looking at about 120 Rand in fuel. Looking through the field, I'm trying to find a battle for us to watch, but don't really see anything closer than Brandon Kruger. Now Brandon took over from Bernard Barkhuizen, so they still clawing their way back. Currently 14th position after they dropped all the way down the field. They were 3rd. So with 17 hours and 26 minutes to go, never say die, never give up. Anything can still happen. They can still claw their way up right back to the top 5. Well, that remains to be seen. So that's about the closest battle we currently have out on track. And during this 24, we will go through phases. There are not that much going on track. So that's why I'm keeping up an eye on the YouTube stream, France, where you're saying Monopoly money. Yeah, it's I suppose it's one of those things. You just go with the flow. You know in Afrikaans we call it beerdkrag. So if you have power, it's nie jou beerd nie. So currently it is my turn not to have power. So we suppose we just live with it. So Brandon Kruger has closed up that gap to George Rodenbach in front of him to 5.4 seconds. So hopefully we will have a little bit of a battle on our hands. But 6th and 8th place now currently in the pits. Lacuna just exiting the pits. Ethan, so he's carrying on, and then in 8th place Jude Neville in the Luxury Time Racing car. He's currently making his way into the pits, and wonder if they're going to do a driver swap on that car to just get a fresh set of arms and legs out there. I'm not going to say freshly shaven, seeing it's the chic car. Luckily Flip didn't say too much about our maybe they didn't hear our dad jokes a little bit earlier on. So who's going to give us our next battle? Or are we going to have to sit and wait? Brandon Kruger closing up 4.1 seconds behind George Rotenbach. So there might be something happening soon. So we'll see if we can stick a little bit with Brandon and see what he can do with that Aston Martin Kinetics Simworks racing team, battling their way back from, which I think it was last place, now 3.8 seconds behind. So I think I'm going to stick with him just for a little while to see what he can do. Alicia, imagine your teammate returning to the garage by accident and disconnecting at the same time. Yeah, that's going to cost you a couple of laps. And as Francois said, it's not going to be fun. That can ruin your race quite quickly and set you back quite far. But Brandon definitely making inroads into this. He's 2.5 seconds behind. For a moment I thought Guillaume Mouton is going to be in a little bit of a battle, but that's actually not happening. Guillaume falling back, so I'm going to stick with Brandon. And yet again, if there's anybody that wants to join me for a little chat, you're more than welcome. And come and join me just to tell me how your race is going. Well, Francois, so you missed qualifying. That's a pity. In these type of endurance races, unfortunately the quali gets done before the race. So if you missed that one, I suppose that was pretty much a last place start for you then. But now Brandon Kruger 1.8 seconds behind George Rodenbach. So he is definitely on a charge. He wants to make his way up the field. You can see George there in the foreground, making his way around the corner. Brandon in hot pursuit. He's going to try and get past him as quickly as possible. Now, as we've seen before, will George give up the position, or is he going to put up a fight? I don't know what you guys think. Francois, it's a learning experience. Don't worry, trust me, I've done some pretty stupid things in endurance races that didn't turn out so great. So now only a second behind. As you can see, that Aston Martin is closing up very quickly to the Aston Martin in front. Remember, Brandon and team, Kinetic Simwork team, they were running third at one stage, so they were definitely up there, and then they dropped back due to a little bit of an issue. He's in the slipstream. Oh, we're going to see a bit of action. George actually defending the position, but no. Brandon getting past him quite quickly. So that's as much for that battle. It was over before it began. But we mentioned earlier that there might be strategic passes, guys. Deciding it's not worth the fight. If the cars behind you is quicker than you, it might just slow you up, and you don't want to ruin your own race just because the car's quicker. We always, us as a team, always talk about we're not in the same race. They're not the guys we are battling. So let them go on their merry way. So, Francois, you were right. Alicia, you're saying you're very curious to see how everybody's going to race at night. Well, Alicia, they're going to put on their headlights, and that's pretty much all that they're going to have. And believe me, some of these cars have got better headlights than others. So that's all that you can see. So as it becomes dark, I see now it's 12 minutes to 7 sim time. So they're running a little bit before our time. Not much. So as it becomes dark, we'll switch over to cockpit and see what the guys have to deal with racing at night. It's interesting. It's a whole new experience, and for me personally, I've said it before, I love racing at night. It's a total different ball game, and I don't know why, it just feels like the time goes by quicker for me when you're doing a night race. Francois, you're saying me as well. Are you talking about the night racing? Because aren't you supposed to know how it is around the dark around Spa? So we're watching Brandon Krier. He's pulled out 4 seconds over George Rotenbach. So that was not the battle we were looking for. So I'm gonna try and look elsewhere for us. But out in front, Cody Sherritt's still at the wheel. He's still making his way around the track, trying to keep it as consistent as possible. I was talking to Alan a little bit earlier on. He made the mention of Cody Sherritt, deciding to drive with his brother. So unfortunately, that left Kieran Patterson without a teammate for the race. Dylan, are you done karting for the day? No worries. If you want to come and say hi in the commentary box, you're always welcome. I had a little chat with Flip earlier on, so it would be interesting to see your view on how you're going to take the race throughout the night. Yeah, Flip mentioned that you will be driving from 12 o'clock onwards, so you'll be doing the graveyard shift. Second place, more than a lap behind Dino Kier, and then Sean Skitter only 11.4 seconds behind. So the logistical nightmare racing car, they're starting to make good progress in this race. Dylan, let's quickly have a look and see who is currently in the car of you guys. Where's 118? There we go. Jude currently in the car. So at this stage you guys are still making your way around the track. The BMW still kind of looks in one piece, so you don't have to worry about it too much. But I'll chat to you a little bit later in the commentary box. Having a look through the field, we've got Jason Luck. He is 5.6 seconds behind Buerta. So trying to close that gap down and give us something to talk about. But overall, at this stage, field still really spread out. Unfortunately, Reginald and them had a bit of a bad luck. They're currently running in 21st place. But let's have a look and see if Sean Skitter from LNR can make his way up to Dino Kier in second place, to see if we can maybe get a little bit of a battle. Thank you, Smith. Yes, that is right. Everybody, as they say, like, subscribe, and share the channel to give us as much love as possible. At this stage, I'm pretty much also in my own endurance race in terms of the commentary. So it feels like I'm in my own endurance race. I'm trying to beat my previous stint of 4.5 hours. So if we're trying to beat that one, and maybe Steven and so forth will join a bit later on as they're still busy. And see, Dylan will also join, tell us how things are going in their luxury time racing car. But at this stage, doesn't look like Sean is making much of an impact. Still 12.2 seconds, 12.3 seconds, remaining relatively constant at 12 seconds behind Dinock here. Okay, Dylan, see you in about half an hour. Then you can come and join me before you stint, and maybe see if we can chat a bit on how your race is going at the moment. 14th place, Rodenbach, currently in the pits. George Rodenbach making his way down this long pit straight. I'm going to call it the pit straight because it's basically driving the whole length of the pit straight on the side of the pit straight down the pits, making his way through turn 1. See, turn 1 is actually part of the pit lane, and then now he's on his way to the actual pits. As we mentioned earlier on, they're making use of the whole 50 pit garage pits in ACC, so these guys have got a fair way to travel before they actually reach their pit boxes. Jumping to 18th place, Jason Luck, 2.5 seconds behind Buerta, so I don't know, slowly but surely we're getting there, so maybe give us a bit of racing a bit later on. And Francois, change time. Change time. Okay. Not quite sure what you mean by that. But Jason has now closed that gap to 2 seconds. So as soon as we drop under 2 seconds, we might get an orange on our timesheets. But I see a couple of guys on the pits. Rotenbach still in the pits, and then 20th position, Harmon also in the pits, also making his way down that long pit lane. Jason Luck 1.8 seconds behind. We're going to keep an eye on him, see if he can close that gap down to Buerta, and as I said, maybe give us something to talk about. Oh, Peter coming in for you. Change time. So thank you for a bit of behind the scenes info. It's always nice to get a bit of behind the scenes info. My normal ACC or RaceFace inside informant is not racing in this race, so we don't know that much what is going on. So we don't have all the inside info on tires and how long does fuel last and all of those kind of things. But now 0.4 of a second behind, so he's closed up quite quickly in this little battle, and he's now trying to make Jason Luck trying to make his way around Altman Buerta. So let's keep our eyes on this, see if a pass is looking on the inside. He's going to go on the inside of this double left-hander, decides to back out of it a little bit, but Buerta giving him some racing room, and he's going to make his way past. Buerta not putting up too much of a fight there and letting Luck carry on racing. Having a look quickly at 19th place. Guys from Team Tryout Racing, Doe Gerber currently at the wheel. He's racing with Jeff Hancock's Paul Gerber. So Doe taking a turn in this 24-hour race. He has been at the wheel before, I think. No, Francois, I did miss the memo. Sorry. I completely missed that one. But I'll try and drink an energy drink or so to catch a bit of a wake up. Sean Skidder at this stage 14 seconds behind second place Dean O'Keefe. So it does look like Dean is slowly but surely opening up that gap to Sean. So Sean not really able to close that gap for us, so that we can have a bit of action on track. But Woods are trying to keep on that rear wing of Jason Luck, 1.8 seconds behind. Does seem like Jason is putting out a little bit of a gap and trying to be on his way. Oh, so you missed the memo. you got a late call-up instruction to come in and join the drive in the car. So at this stage, Jason Luck 7.9 seconds behind this man, George Rotenbach. So Jason trying to close down that gap, as we see the rest of the field quite far apart, except for second and third place. Sean Skitter 14.8 seconds behind Dean O'Keefe, but it does look like Dean is opening up that gap. Jason Luck trying to chase down George Rotenbach, so he's trying to gain that position and see if he can do a bit of passing. Definitely the gap's definitely coming down, but he's pulling away from Buerta now, 3.8 seconds behind and 6.4 seconds behind George Rotenbach. Okay, I'm just going to take a quick break, about 5 to 10 minutes, and then I'll be back shortly, and I'll get a catch up on all the YouTube comments and see if by that time we have a bit of close racing action. We'll be back shortly. Good evening, Essie. I see you are back. You know, it will help a lot if I unmute my mic. Essie, I see you have decided to join us in the commentary box again.
Yeah, but I thought you were on like a dinner break or a supper break or something. I saw you were muted, so I said, let me not frighten the poor guy again.
No, I'm more on a cool drink break, and I muted my mic and I started talking to you, and yeah, that didn't go down well. Nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
No. So, how's your race going?
Oh, well, I think we can be very pleased how it's going so far. Sitting in 6th place, so everything's going quite well at this stage. But long way still to go. Can you believe it? Still 17 hours left.
I try not to look at that clock because
yeah.
you know, if you clock watch too much, you know, and you see that you still have 17 odd hours to go.
True.
It might just get to you.
Yeah, very true. But it does seem like the guys have been having some great fun all around.
It does. Just a pity. I'm looking for battles out on track, and the closest one is Jason Luck, which is sitting behind Buerta, but you know, he's creeping up on him. So you know, I think it's still going to be a fair amount of laps, and then we're sitting with Bego Grobler. He's 5 seconds behind Jaco Nodia. So.
But Jaraman, you had a nice stat on earlier with regards to the pit stops, the amount of pit stops.
Mm-hmm.
Well, can we have a look at that again? See where we're standing currently.
Let's have a look and see if the software has decided to update. Last time I looked, it showed that everybody did 0 pit stops. So that takes some going.
Yeah, I want that in my car, whatever they are running.
No, you see,
they're running on air or something.
I think the problem that we are sitting with, it only shows me the pit stops that they have done since our last switch over. So it does not show me the total amount of pit stops, which is a bit of a bummer. So
yeah, no, you wanted to have a look at it tomorrow morning and see how many pit stops the guys have done.
I think we'll have to wait. We'll have to wait for Stephen on that one, because as I tried to explain before, my ACC sits with a bit of a bug. I actually need to do a total restore on it. It doesn't want to do the broadcasting function on ACC itself, so I can't use the ACC functionality to see all that. It will show me the total amount of pit stops. I need to make use of ACC TV. So so when Stephen comes in later and we maybe switch over to his machine, we can have a look at all of that.
That should be some very interesting stats that he'll be able to show us then. Well, it looks like Jason Luck has creeped into the red numbers now.
Yeah, Jason Luck actually getting past Buerta. So unfortunately we missed that one, but I don't think Buerta put up all that much of a fight to drive in car with him at the moment. You know, we've seen a lot of strategic passes being done, guys not really fighting for position, and to be very honest, and I know sometimes we get criticized for saying this, but you know, the guys looking at the bigger picture and, you know, knowing there's still just over 7 hours to go, it's not the time yet to think about fighting for positions, if I can say.
No, it's still conservation mode at the moment. Just making sure you get to the early morning hours.
I'm looking forward to those early morning hours to see what everybody gets up to.
Some sleepy people having to get out of bed and then drive at 300 k's an hour. That's going to be interesting.
You know, when we do these type of endurance races, you know, somebody like Steven, maybe you'll meet Steven a little bit later if he's also in the commentary box. He doesn't sleep. He's up for the whole 24 hours.
So he just goes straight through. That's nice.
I've never done an endurance with Steven where he slept. He always is up the whole 24 hours.
Well, load shedding unfortunately forces us sometimes to go and sleep. Not that we planned it.
Yes, it's true. But he has got a backup system that normally keeps him going throughout the load shedding. So, you know, I'm the one that normally switches off in these enduros when I have load shedding. So, I suppose it's one of those things. So, are you going to do an early morning stint, or are you going to go to bed?
Well, my power goes off at 4 tomorrow morning, and then only back at 8:30. So I've got a 4.5 hour power switch off. So I'll be forced to go and sleep if I can. I know the adrenaline will always be pumping. So maybe just sleep on the couch. I don't know.
Yeah, see,
I have one eye on the phone or something like that.
What I normally do is I go and lie on the couch. I put the phone on, and I have it next to my ear so that I can at least hear what's still happening in the Discord.
That's ideal.
So we have Bago.
Yeah,
we have Bago Grobler, 0.5 of a second behind this man, Jaco Nordia. So here's a little something to talk about.
There's a battle, yeah. That looks quite good.
We haven't had one in a while.
Yeah, some excitement for a change.
So just a little message for you. Vietier says Lekker Essie on the comments.
Thanks, big man. Well, it looks like it's going to be a straightforward pass coming down the Camel Straight. Yeah. Got a nice slip coming out of a Rouge.
Trying to go around the outside, but that's going to put him on the inside. And, you know...
He made it stick.
Made it stick. And we all know Bago, he's not afraid to get his elbows out. He'll go for that pass if you give him half a chance. Now the question is, will Jaco be able to
do anything about it? Yeah,
to stick with him, or is Bago gonna run away with it?
But that Merc looked like there's some good topping coming down that straight.
We can have a quick look at. I had a look earlier on at Cody Sherritt. Cody reached about 200.
It was
263. Yeah. So you know, we can have a look at what speeds Bago gets up to. It will depend on what part of the track he is, and I measured Cody down the Camel Straight. So you know, once Bago goes through the Camel Straight, we can have a look and see what. It's just be a. Watch out for those track limits.
Cutting it quite fine there.
It's a part, you will know, it's a part of the track where you can easily run wide, especially when your front tire starts going. And
yeah,
you know, this Merc, it's not the, how can we put it, most preserving on front tires.
No, it had a bad reputation for quite a while as being quite heavy on its tires. I think they sorted some of it out with the latest update, but now you'll have to look at it. I mean, with that big nose, those front tires will take a pounding.
It is a car that naturally understeers, and if you do a bit of setup work on it, you can sort it out and lessen the amount of damage on those front tires. But he's heading down to Eau Rouge, and let's see what he gets up to compared to the likes of Cody Sherritt, who we looked at earlier. So let's see. It's up to 250 already. So speed to beat is 263. Let's see what he hits up to
before he hits the brakes.
263.
So there's nothing in it.
Nothing in it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see which of these cars are actually the fastest on the straight. I know the Honda's quick. The Aston also got some pretty pace in a straight line. So we know these two are level pegging for 263.
Oh, you can always have a look and see. Well, you know what your car gets up to, so.
No, but that's with me driving. I think I only hit 180. That's
180.
Yeah, that's my limit.
So you know there's 6 gears there.
Is that what the 6 is for?
No, you can just click it up.
Click it up. Let's see what Remy can do in our Audi. Funny to see we're the only Audi in the field. That's actually strange for me that there's not any other Audis participating. What does the speed say there?
258.
You see, it's all about being conservative, safe. I'll have to talk to Henry when I get back and say, why are you driving so slow? You're making you're making our name
So
a bit on the left side. So
we just had a little bit of an update. So Stratum in third place have been given a 30-second penalty, and Lotus in 10th, a 10-second penalty. Yes, Alan, I know my timing screen doesn't show all the penalties and stuff. We've been talking about the bug that my ACC has got. I actually need to do a full system install or reinstall now. Just a little bit of an inside info. Steven was supposed to do the stream, but his plans changed last minute, and no, you guys have kind of stuck with me, unfortunately.
Oh wow. It's either us or just silence.
Yeah, it's take your pick.
Yeah, we just stay with us then.
Yeah, but
those penalties will put some interesting twists on the plot in the top 10.
Yeah, no, that can change, because a 30-second penalty essentially is an extra pit stop that you now need to do.
Yeah, because normally you're stationary for about 30 seconds when you do a tire change and refueling and a driver and so on. So that is an extra pit stop. You're absolutely right. So that might put Bago and them into an interesting position.
Yeah, and they might do a bit of catching up there, and maybe.
And also your tires start cooling down as well. You're stationary for 30 seconds with no movement on them.
Yeah.
So, and the temperatures are already dropping, cooler and so on. So it'll take a bit longer to get those tires back up to temperature again, and pressures and everything. So you'll be a little bit vulnerable coming out of the pits as well after the penalty lap game.
Yeah, it's it's exactly as you said. It's essentially doing a pit stop without doing a tire change. So you're going to go through all the phases that you go through doing a normal fueling stop, where you double stint tires. So they're going to cool down. You need to get them back up to temperature again before you can start going. And as we've seen previously in the race, that phase you go through with cold tires, it does affect your pace quite considerably, because we saw people dropping back 2-3 seconds, then all of a sudden when the tires came into life, they made up all those times again.
Yeah, and also the tendency is always there to just push a bit too hard while the tires are still not on pressure.
Oh, I'm an expert at doing that.
And then obviously that damages the tires. So it creates actually more problems for you later on. So you have to be it has to be a conscious effort to look after the tires gradually. Don't push too hard while they are cold and under pressure, and then slowly get them up to temp and pressure, and then you can start pushing. Otherwise you do some serious damage and obviously hamper your own performance later on.
Yeah, exactly. Well, in the 24 we did a couple of weeks ago, it was in the last 4 hours or 3 hours of the race we started to develop a battle with her. We were at that stage running 7th with the 6th place team. We saw that if we pushed hard, we can beat them. And at that stage, you are so tired, you start forgetting the small things. Like the tires are cold when you fit new ones and you come out the pits. And it happened to me actually twice during the last 4 hours when I came out of the pits on Silverstone, and as I went through turn 2, the car just let go. I did that twice.
Well, hopefully we don't have a repeat of that with any of the teams. They've been ample warning now from you to be careful. Don't be a cowboy on cold tires, otherwise it will let go. And the last place you want to let go is on a Rouge with cold and under pressure tires.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of accidents, but luckily, by the time you get to Eau Rouge, you would have done a lap, because pit exit is at Eau Rouge, so it will have given them a little bit of time. But I don't know, on a new set of tires, the first time you go through Eau Rouge, is it flat out, or do you lift slightly?
No, well, I wouldn't say necessarily lift, but I just feather it a little bit.
Yeah.
Just the first few laps.
Yeah.
Just make sure everything is. And also, you're also fat and heavy with fuel as well, so it all counts against you. So I would rather err on the side of caution just to make sure that you get around there safely.
Well,
Until it's all ready to go.
That's how I do it. I mean, the first 2 or so laps, you just feather it slightly. It's not exactly flat out, and then after about 2 laps, you can just
give it the beans,
stick it, and hope it sticks.
And hope it sticks. Yeah.
And if it doesn't, hope you don't hit the wall. That's
yeah.
And it's that case of, you know, we've got a saying, you know, I'm slipping, I'm sliding, and with the wall I am colliding. So yeah,
that's very true. We seen a couple of those tonight. Not too many though. The guys are not doing too bad at all.
Yeah, I think at this stage,
under the conditions, when nighttime comes, that might be a different story.
Yes, and talking about nighttime, it's 7:28 p.m. sim time, and we spoke about it earlier, and there was one prediction that it will become dark at 6 o'clock. Now, doesn't look like that yet.
Accurate. No, I reckon about 8:30 to 9 in-game time. That'll probably be dark then.
Well, if Bathurst was anything to go by, not that it is, but Bathurst, it started becoming dark at 8 o'clock, and it was completely dark by 8:30.
No, that sounds a bit right.
And then we need to wait for morning.
And see what happens then.
Yeah, and that's another thing that can throw you off a bit. It happened to us in our last 24 hour. I did a stint in total darkness, and then Steven took over from me. And by the time my next stint came along, I went to lie down, to close my eyes. I didn't sleep. I was still in contact with him via phone. But when I got to the PC again, it was light. And my next stint was light again. So then you need to readjust to daylight again.
No, I think, well, being my first one as well, that's something that I'll experience with everybody else as well. So I do think it'll be a little bit more different than what you're used to.
How much?
I mean, you can practice it, but you don't normally practice a 24-hour race. So you can practice nighttime driving and early morning driving and everything like that, but you don't have the 18 hours already awake part with it.
Now, having said that, obviously the track will go through temperature changes during the course of the night. It will cool down. And
we're already on 18, I see.
Yeah, and you know, as we all know, ACC is very much PSI dependent. You need to get those tires operating in the correct range, which is at this stage, I think it's about, was it 27.3 to about 27.8 PSI?
Yeah, the sweet spot is 27.6 to 27.7. That's the ideal, but it's not always that easy to get it there.
Yes, so how much work have you guys done in terms of checking whose tires need to be at what PSI? Because it varies for drivers.
Oh, well, I don't know how any of the other teams do it, but we've got a couple of guys behind the scenes with thick glasses and crunching numbers and all that type of things, and give you some guidelines as to what the pressure should be. So behind the scenes, there's a lot of tests that go along, checking what the temperatures are, to give you some form of guideline as to when you go out, how do you need to adjust the pressures for the next driver coming in.
Yeah.
So that's how we do it. I think most of the teams will probably do it like that. Have a guru crunching some numbers there.
It's because you need at least a base temp and PSI for each driver, and then you can calculate it from there.
Yes, and obviously not everybody's driving style is the same. You get
No.
some guys that wear that that's quite heavy on the tires, so they heat up much more than another guy. So that's things that you have to take into consideration as well. Some guys are very smooth and light on the tires, so they don't heat up that much. The pressures stay a bit lower. Yeah, and that's what makes it so interesting.
Yeah, I remember an endurance race we did last year. We did it with one of the drivers we don't normally race with, and me and him were about half a second apart in terms of lap times. So we said, you know, he most probably is running the same starting PSI as me, but within the question of 3 laps he made those front tires shoot past 37 PSI.
Yeah, it's all possible.
Just because of driving style. And I'm not joking, it was 37 PSI. They were bright red.
That's like driving balloons.
It is driving balloons. Quickly having a look, Jason Luck, only 0.2 of a second behind Tinas Buerta. So they're having a little battle again. The Karibu Networks, McLaren against that little Honda. The Honda's showing some serious pace. Having a look on the inside, and he's actually looks like he's got him. Don't know if Jason's going to come back on that one, or Tina's going to come back on that one.
So that's 2 Buertas that Jason Luck is over to.
Yeah, so no, he's on a bit of a charge at this stage.
He's got some luck with the Buertas. Excuse the pun.
No pun it's one of no pun intended. One of those dad jokes.
Just dad joke.
Well,
that Honda looks quite planted.
Now, according to the timing screens, Flip van Zyl is back in the luxury time racing BMW, but Flip was in the commentary box a little bit earlier. We don't know if it's actually Flip van Zyl driving, because they are sharing rigs at this stage.
They're sharing rigs, yeah.
So, well, Flip said we must have a look at the lap times. If it's slower than he normally does, we know it's not him driving. And I don't know how we're gonna figure that one out. I didn't notice Flip's lap times early on. Dylan from this team, Dylan Hall, said he'll join us a little bit later in the commentary box as well. If you have a little bit of a chat, see how their race is going.
But it's nice to hear that the guys are making plans to make sure they are racing as well. Some of our teammates also bunking up together.
Yeah, you know, anything to make it work.
Yeah, these days it's tough times, so you make sure you somewhere where the internet connection is fine and the power stays on, or you have some plans in place.
Yeah, I actually had a discussion with Bertus yesterday evening regarding the stream, and I said to him, I am a bit worried about load shedding in our area, because in our area the fiber sometimes tends to dip a bit in terms of upload and download speed when there is load shedding in the area. So, but you know, all fingers crossed, so far so good.
It's going well so far.
We haven't had a server disconnect so far. There was a previous stream, I think it was one of the sprint races I did with load shedding in the area, and I actually suffered a server disconnect. So fingers crossed, so far so good.
Yeah, with a window to the world for everybody else to see.
Yeah, at this stage, Tinas Buerta 1.3 seconds behind Jason Luck, so Jason not pulling away all that quickly. We had the guys from Karibu Networks in the commentary box a little bit earlier on, you know, giving us some insight, as they are one of the sponsors to their business, and it's good to see them up to 16th place at the moment and still keeping it on track, although that McLaren seriously needs a wash.
It does look extremely dirty though, but I'm just trying to see if it's got some, can't tell if it's got rear damage or front damage or some damage.
It does look like they've got a little bit of rear damage, and they suffered a little bit of front damage. They lost it through Eau Rouge previously and just slightly clipped the wall. So, but definitely some rear end damage on the car as well. So They might have.
McLaren is a very aero-focused vehicle as well, so that will not be helping in their lap times at all.
Okay, Jan Kleinans just informed us drive-through for car 465. Who is car 465? It is Jaco Nordia, currently in 5th position, and this is gonna hurt. So making his way down the pit lane. Well, this is only the first part of the pit lane. He still needs to go through turn 1 and tackle the second part of the actual pits.
That'll help us, if I have to be honest. Because
So
Henry's now coming up to the bus stop, so
it's going to be close. If you look, you're going through the bus stop. So you're heading on to start-finish line. Jaco is still in the pits.
Still needing.
So he's still cruising. He's still cruising along, and
now only in the second part.
Only in the second part, and you are past. There you go. On your way to Eau Rouge, where Jaco is still cruising along the pit lane. Now you're officially past him, so he's gaining a position for you. Okay,
Yeah,
Dylan says he's in the waiting room, so let's quickly pull Dylan over. He's from Luxury Time Racing, also Sarko. So Dylan, let's quickly get you into the commentary box. Let's just select the correct commentary box, that will help. And joining us, Dylan. Mr. Dylan Hall, how are you doing this evening?
Absolutely fantastic. Gentlemen, can you hear me? Let me just get rid of my sound. Hold on, because I remember I was watching the stream, so I've got my voice coming through. Stand by.
Let's quickly have a look, and maybe Dylan will be able to give us a bit of insight as he's busy sorting out his audio.
I think I have it sorted. Jeez, there it is. So I don't really know what you guys are watching. Are you sharing? Is something I can see? There's the Yannerman live stream.
There we go.
Very much.
No, don't worry. We're watching your car at the moment.
Okay. Listen, and what a freaking livery that is, isn't it?
Yeah, we had a discussion.
I might be biased, but yes.
No, me and Essie actually had a discussion about this car. I had a discussion with Flip about this car. The question is, with all those water splashed across the car, are you guys expecting rain?
Listen, I spent my morning at the Formula K karting track, and the clouds were threatening, so I honestly thought that there was rain, but it looks like you might have got that wrong. It kind of went around the Germiston side and it hit us in Benoni, so very, very happy with that. But it's basically following the theme of the sponsor Schick and the actual brand Hydro, and that's why it is the way it is.
It does look beautiful though.
Oh, that's a big thank you to Brandon, one of our drivers in the team, who seems to have these skills on Blender.
Yeah, apparently Flip said it took like 20 photographs he had to stitch together to get that effect across the car.
He's not lying, because I saw the couple of renders and he explained to me what he had to do is basically take piece by piece by piece off one of our packagings and basically built it from scratch. So he's not lying.
Now, next question, Dylan. Currently it says Flip van Sailers in the car, but Flip said to us you guys need to wangle the rigs a little bit. Is it actually Flip driving?
So I can most definitely confirm that is not Flip driving. It is actually Etienne.
Etienne driving. So, we asked them to just keep us updated on the stream who is in that 118 car and who's actually driving. Now, you haven't actually driven in the rig, so you can't give us that much feedback of how different this rig is to your rig at home.
Hold on. Remember, I arrived here at Rage on Thursday to set it up.
Oh, yes. I forgot.
I arrived here then essentially only on Friday morning at 11 o'clock, were we essentially ready to go. So it took us just over 18 hours to get this ready to race. That's how long it took us. So I've done a couple of laps, but I'm definitely fast on my own rig, and as we all are. A lot of the guys that, they're coming and they're racing here, they're not using their own wheels. We're kind of making it up as we go, so to say. But look, the whole idea is when you get the silly idea to say, can we drive from Rage and do the 24-hour from there? And somebody says, yes, we can. And then we go and we put it together. And yeah, here we go. 3 months in the making.
I know I've said it numerous times, but I said to SE a while ago, 3 weeks ago, me and Steven did a 24-hour with just 2 drivers. And it's one of the cases, after 12 hours, we came to the conclusion that this was a really bad idea. But we have to do it.
Funny you said that, is that I was chatting to Stephen, it was I think the week after you did that, and he was at the Extreme Festival and said, this is what we did, it was a bad idea.
Well, we said it to each other. We can't back out of it now, I mean, because then the guys started rooting for us because we were the only 2-man team. And the people were saying, you guys need to finish this.
So, Yanaman, I'm sorry. We obviously have some history with you having raced at Sarko.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely have no idea who Essie is. So, Essie, hi, I'm Dylan. Pleased to meet you.
Hi, Dylan. Nice to meet you. Thanks.
Cool. Essie, where are you from, essentially?
He's racing you.
I'm racing you, not at the moment.
Wat 'n nommer is jy? Laat ek sien.
I don't know what. I can't see on that screen. It's too small. Well, where are we currently? I think we are currently 5th.
5th. Henry is going to...
Meneer Meyer, is that who we're watching now? Car number 11.
Yep.
Car number 11. So
okay.
that's us.
All right, lekker. Oh, some binary code on that car. That's very interesting. Very clever.
Yeah, it's the team name is the Source team. So we decided to go for source code. Binary zeros and ones.
That's pretty cool. And as I'm going through the names, I'm seeing a little Chris Radloff, another ex-soccer member, so that's really awesome to see.
Yep,
because Christopher Radloff, he's always said to me, listen bud, when in doubt, let out.
I remember that. I remember that.
It's actually awesome to see. And Christopher was actually one of the drivers that I invited in our soccer invitation and stuck him in a go-kart at SWAT Corps, and it freaking rained that whole day.
On slicks.
On slicks, that is correct.
Who needs rain tires on a go-kart?
Sideways is fun, eh? It's not ideal, but it's fun.
So, it is fun.
So Dylan, earlier on, I spoke to Flip, and he said it was quite challenging driving at Rage. I mean, I've raced with Flip a lot. I was a teammate of Flip for quite a while, and I know Flip likes it quiet when he races. And he said, people were doing announcements and all of those kind of things in the background, and he found it quite difficult to concentrate. I suppose things have quieted down now a little bit, being at after hours and so forth.
So I'm actually quite surprised that you can't hear what's happening in the background, but there's some sort of first-person shooter which is going absolutely ballistic, and all I'm hearing is these gunshots, and I can't believe it's not picking up. But I turned my mic very, very low, so I've just about got this thing in my mouth. So there is still lots of noise happening, but generally the land itself, there's over 800 people sitting in the hall where we're currently at, and it's pretty quiet. All you're hearing is that little click, 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 but no one's screaming or shouting other than the guys behind us in the competition.
Well, I think you should maybe hop into the commentary box 4 o'clock tomorrow morning, then we can see how it's going.
May 4 o'clock, I think I'm driving.
You can always join us while driving. Maybe you prefer being in contact with your team, but they're standing right beside you.
That was one of our streaming challenges, because obviously this is quite a formidable little event that we're pulling together. So I had a capture card connected up to Flip's machine. He was connected up to his own thing so that we could basically get this massive stream on. And it's all working, and as we said, okay, let's go and test it. Now what's happening, because the guys are driving with their headphones, I'm not capturing that sound because the sounds are coming through the card anymore, through the speakers. So that whole plan was completely derailed. And listen, this is the beauty about broadcasting. There's always something that's gonna go wrong.
Yeah, same on this side. I asked the guys in the chat to just let us know if there's something wrong, because when we do a switch over, the audio levels aren't the same, and this is not the same, and that's not the same, and so fun and games. But
there's always a knob to turn a bit louder or softer. Or
yeah,
something.
no.
I took a chance just jumping in with you guys. I hope you kind of just set my volumes on your side and I didn't cause too much of a nuisance.
Smit Engelbrecht saying on the YouTube, by this time of the weekend at Rage Land, your tires are pretty popped, so you only talk when talked to.
So technically, I'm only day. It's two in an evening because I did miss today. As I mentioned, I was racing today, and man, oh man, what a bad decision to double up. And my wife looks at me and she says, "You know what? I've got no sympathy for you. You chose this life."
My wife tends to be the same, and I do tend to get a cool drink every now and again.
Yes, like you're lucky. She won't come outside to bring it to me in the boys' room. So I've literally gone online, real world online. My wife's like, "You chose this life."
No, it's tough luck. It's nothing I can do about that one. So, Dylan, what are your goals for this endurance besides finishing it?
Finishing it is the only goal.
Is it?
No, so look, you know me, and I've always had this big master plan. So essentially what's happening is with me having joined with Schick is I've been able to kind of throw some of the sponsorship in terms of where my passions is lying. And I see 3 worlds that are currently out there. There is the online world where I'm basically involved with Flip, where he invited me and to say that, look, we believe that you can really add like lots of value to the team. Can you get involved? And I'm like, sure I can, as a commentator / promoter of the team. But they realized, but hold on, you can actually drive, so we need you to drive for us. So I'm like, perfect. On the other side is my other passion is, as I mentioned, karting. So I've setting myself up to sponsor the karting league that I race in, so that Schick is then seen there. Not only that is I've got Terry Wolford from the V8, the Mobile One V8, as a driver, who Schick will be not the lead sponsor, but will definitely be supporting him through his season next year. So what I'm trying to do is take not only the karting, where is essentially your grassroots, it's the online racing, as well as the real circuit. And their goal is to say, all right, Mr. Terry Wolford, you're a phenomenal V8 driver in the real world. Come and join us as an online racing person and let us get you involved in the team, and we'll also craft the online side. Taking a karting team and saying, listen, karting team, we're sponsoring you as a league, but we want to be able to offer this as a sponsorship, but what we're going to do is we're going to bring our online team to come and challenge you, and vice versa. So I see this bigger world of the online development and real world all starting to join together, and that's essentially where I am.
Oh, that's awesome to hear, and it's awesome to hear what the different communities are up to, because it always takes a race like this. Yes, it's RaceFace that's hosting the race, but to bring the different communities together, we've got Sarko, we've got the guys from L&R Logistical Nightmare racing tonight. So, we even got the likes of Jordan Sherritt and those guys making a little bit of a comeback to come and race with us, who doesn't normally race with RaceFace anymore. So it's absolutely awesome to hear what the different communities and what the plans of the different communities are, and how each community sees the future of online racing, sim racing, incorporating that to real racing.
Most definitely, and I see the bigger picture that they do need to feed into each other, because once all the communities and all the different disciplines are talking to each other, what happens is that not only do you create a bigger the biggest show of that individual community, but it's motorsport in its totality. Because online, we understand what is happening on the international stage. How do I, as a brand, come and see the opportunity? Like, if you have a really close miss of somebody and say, but that was a close shave. Look, we've literally used the word in terms of what my product stands for. And it all just makes sense.
It does. No, it absolutely does. And I know Terry, he's also done his fair share of online racing. I've raced against Terry quite a lot. I've seen Terry on a real racetrack. So, it's an awesome thing to experience how these guys incorporate the two into each other.
And the funny thing is that we had a very nobody said anything, but the Hills brothers, well, I'll say the Hills brothers, but it was actually Brandon and his dad, Peter Hills. They were in the karting race today with Lendl, and these are Sarko drivers who, they Formula V drivers, but now they're cross-pollinating into the F400. But not only that, is that they're racing online.
Yeah.
So now they're cutting across 3 disciplines. Like, why are not all the communities talking together for one bigger motorsport view? You know what I'm saying?
No, I understand what you're saying. I want to tell you a funny little story. I saw the last time I saw Terry was at the Kyalami 9 hour earlier this race, and me and Steven, we were walking through the pits there, and I saw him standing there next to his car. He was busy with something else. He didn't see me come up to him. So, out of the blue, I just said, who's the driver of this car, so that I can just, show him how to drive it, because clearly he's struggling a little bit, and I could clearly see him get upset until he looked around and he saw it was me.
Well, that is the fun thing, is that you can always have a little go with Terry, but I know definitely later on, Jonaman, that's coming back to you, eh?
Yeah, most probably. I wouldn't take Terry on in a real race car. I know I'm going to see my backside. Most probably see my backside with you, and with most of the other real world racing drivers as well, because sim and real world is 2 totally different, I would call it, driving styles. Because we as sim racers feel everything through the steering wheel, and as a real world racer you drive by the seat of your pants. You feel it through the seat of the race car, what the race car is doing.
Can I add another thing that people don't really understand?
Mm-hmm.
It's the fear factor.
Exactly.
Is that in real world, you're going to go too wide in a rouge, I promise you're going to lose your breath. In a sim, well, you touch, there's consequences, you're both going to crash out. But that fear that you're feeling in the real world, what it does is it makes you drive differently. Is that
Exactly.
You're not going to go for a move that is going to be dodgy, knowing that A, it's going to either hurt the car, B, it's going to hurt me, and it's going to cost money. So you drive with a very, very different mindset. Even for myself in the karting, is that we do endurance karting. So there's 2 to 3 drivers. The race is 70 minutes, so there's driver changes, and you're in the kart for between 25 to 35 minutes at a time. And you're not going to win it in the first corner. That's the bottom line.
No, exactly. We've seen that, and you've actually already said what I wanted to say. There's that saying in the real world racing, when you go too wide through a ruse, you get that self-preservation kick in, that this might hurt me, the car, and the bank balance. So I might just want to back out of this one a little bit.
There's nothing scarier going into a breaking point that you've now missed, and all of a sudden the wheels are locking up and that wall is coming closer where you should have been apexing already.
It's in sim racing we just say, and the track went that way, and in real racing it is a little bit different.
Most definitely.
The real world racing I'm involved with it's more the bike side of things, but they race on go-kart track. It's short circuit racing, so and it's sometimes just mind-boggling how those guys, sometimes they've got no fear how they slide those bikes through the corners. But last time we were out at the Vereniging kart circuit, and it was totally monsoon raining, and for no moment that they stopped. They just carried on.
Most definitely. Look, I was actually having a conversation today, and I've been racing cars for 11 years. This is my 11th year, which is now the season's come up. So when I say that I've been racing for more than a decade, it's actually pretty scary. But then what happens is that over the last 9 years is that I've probably had 4 races that were in the wet. The last 2 years, half of the races have been in the wet.
Yeah, but the rain the last couple of years have been quite erratic and hectic. But I want to tell Team Heap together, we are starting to put a little bit of a plan together to move into the real world, so maybe you should watch out for us. I don't know if it's going to be karting. I've got a weight disadvantage when it comes to karting.
Hey, listen, I'm also carrying a bit of a ballast here. So where the cars need to be at 185, I'm pushing 190, so I've got a 5 kilogram disadvantage there, but look, I'm still able to compete.
I'm sure I'll push it over 200 quite easily.
I'm not going to say anything further. Anything that I say from here on could be detrimental to my health.
No, we want to maybe start doing a bit of endurance racing, but we'll see how it goes. You know, you would very well know it's not cheap.
That is correct, and I say that I do the most affordable form of it, but I'm still in for between 60 to 90,000 rand a year.
Yeah, and that's, you know, that's something that you've touched on it earlier. If somebody gets it wrong on a sim, you press that reset button, and you know, the car's miraculously fixed. Off we go again.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So, Dylan, are you only going to drive after 12, or you're gonna do a bit of a stint before then?
No, so according to my schedule is, I'm starting at 12, because I did ask the guys, I said, look, please, after the karting race, I just need that moment just to wind down, just allow the bones and the hands and the feet just to calm down a bit. So I'll definitely have a bit of a kip, even if it's a little 3 hours, and then I'll get behind the rig again.
So
but I will get up and then run the second put on the tester, and then I'll have a go for my hour stint.
So has the two rigs been set up to be very close to each other, that you can easily swap between the two?
Well, the one is not set up for the land racing, so it's not online.
Mm-hmm.
It is just it is on there, but we just use it as, what we're doing is that during the evening, guys could come here from the LAN. They could then jump on the rigs, use them, try them, and then try and beat the times that we've been putting down. And also just tell them a little bit of a story in terms of what's actually going on here. So it has been received extremely well, which is really, really cool. A lot of interest. But it's more about now just hitting a few laps just to get that rhythm back and saying, okay, this is online and not go-karting anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of slightly different. Roughly the same thing, but not.
Yeah, it's the forces and the vibrations that you miss out on the sim, eh?
Yeah. No, there's still a long way to go. 16 hours to go, so we're not even close to being halfway. The one thing
it's just so scary, man. Jeez.
Now, the one thing I wanted to ask you is, I've spoken to Essie quite a lot in terms of their experience in doing 24-hour races. How's your team looking? How many 24s between you lot?
So I've only really been with LTR Racing for the last 3 months or so. So we were supposed to have done the 24-hour. I think they were box 3, which we had joined, and that was a complete disaster. Server crashed 3 times, and that was, again, months and months of preparation, completely, down the drains. I myself have done a couple of 6 and 9 hours, but never done a 24 hours. I have done a 12-hour endurance race for karting before. That's also another level, so I kind of have an understanding, but it's just it's more for the fun, getting everybody to have a go and say that they actually were a part of that.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's sometimes just getting to that finish line more than anything else. I mean, and for us, the fun time is normally, here from 2 to 4, maybe 6 o'clock in the morning, when that sleep deprivation kicks in. We tend to get up to funny things. I've told a couple of different stories about previous 24 hours, what we got up to, but it's all just to keep each other going.
So this is the beauty about what we're trying to do, is that we still got drivers that were in Cape Town that weren't able to get here, and our youngster Jude, who was racing currently before Flip, aka Etienne. He's a 16-year-old kid that's joined us, is racing, and is doing absolutely incredible time. So he couldn't be here overnight, and that's exactly what it's about. It's about how do we make this work. So those who are a little bit more crazier than others said we'll race from here, and we were able to pull it off. But we've got 3 off-site drivers, so should the BS hit the fan, at least they're able to take over and say, hey, you guys are sleeping on your bed, it's your turn.
Yeah, and it's you've said it. It's all about the teamwork and getting through it. Hopefully, I'll be joined by a couple of more people later in the evening. I know Stephen is still busy until I think about 10 o'clock, so it might be a late night for us. So we will be here to keep you guys company, and you're always welcome to hop into the commentary box and come and have a chat.
I'll definitely keep the YouTube on. Let that keep going through, so at least.
Jude has been keeping us company, quite regularly on the stream. So it's not, we tried getting some background information, but he didn't really want to share anything. We seem to struggle with the teams. They don't want to cooperate.
Well, just drop me a WhatsApp. You got my details, and I'll tell you what I can. And just remember, if you don't hear from me, it's because I'm sleeping.
Is there actually a place to sleep for you there?
I actually wish that I could actually show it to you, but essentially what's happened is it's actually just off the side, and yeah, it's a mattress that I brought from home.
So you're basically going camping?
Don't say that. I don't like camping at all.
No, man. if you don't like it, you're doing it wrong.
All right, lekker. Ja, man, I'm going to call it there with you. I'll definitely jump in a little bit later. But have a cracker, and we'll chat later.
Always a pleasure to have you, and all the best. Send my regards to the team. With 16 hours to go, I wish you guys the best of luck.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Thanks for the chat. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for joining me.
Cheers, bye-bye.
Cheers, bye. So, hopping over to the YouTube. Jan, I got it that 556 just served the drive-through penalty. That happened a while ago. Oh my goodness, just as Dylan left the commentary box, the Luxury Time Racing car decided that it's going to lose it through Eau Rouge and pick up a little bit of damage. So they've got a unplanned pit stop heading their way, unfortunately. Let's have a quick look at the chat. Anton, got load shedding coming up. Good luck, Johan. Yeah, Anton, that's we all are struggling a little bit with that time. We're gonna keep this leg of the stream running for another half an hour or so before we can do another switch over and can run again a full 6-hour stint. As we see them limping that car around, it's certainly not looking happy, and this is gonna hurt their race a little bit. 13th place currently. We know it's not Flip at the wheel, but they will now frantically be calculating how they can change the strategy up, and so that this damage costs them the least amount of time as possible. Just quickly want to have a look further. We've got Tinus Buerta still making his way around. Peter Mars still in the car. I just want to catch up to these guys. Brandon Kruger at the wheel in 9th place. Remember, they had that misfortune early on in the race. They were running third, fell to dead last, and they've made their way back up to 19th place after 16 hours. So basically, with 8 hours gone, they made some drastic catching up there, and let's see where they can end up. But out in front, Luke Addison has taken over from Cody, so he's back at the wheel, and they're trying to carry on, just showing how much pace there can be in this little Honda. In second place is Dean Orkier in the Aston Martin. They're making their way around turn 1 on the way up to Eau Rouge. Then in third place, the guys from Logistical Nightmare Racing. They are only 6.3 4 seconds behind second place. So after 8 hours of racing, only 6 seconds basically separating second and third place. Then JW Volskenk a little bit further back in 4th place in that big blue Mercedes. He's making his way onto the Camel Straight. He has got Luke Addison right behind him, trying to make his way past to put another lap on the Merc. Henry Meyer in 5th place. I see Essie unfortunately did leave us during that chat. He had some team stuff to take care of, but at this stage, sitting at 5th place, I think that's something to be proud of. Then Kurt Glashogen, 6th place, making his way around the track in the black and red BMW. Then we got Christopher Radloff. Dylan spoke about him earlier in the McLaren. They are sitting in 7th place. Then Matthijs Brits currently in the pits, and there we can see the Luxury Time Racing BMW as well. Our learner driver Aston Martin, Matthijs Brits. Still love your livery. Keep your distance, learner. Well, I suppose is one way to try and keep the guys off that rear wing. But at this stage, sitting in 8th place, so definitely not a learner driver. 9th place, we got Brandon Kruger making his way around. We spoke about him a little bit earlier. Then Gio Maton in 10th place, just getting out of the pits. So they have completed another pit stop and fueled, maybe a fresh set of tyres, and he's set on his way. Then Tinia Nkube, currently in 11th place, just making his way just over Radion there onto the Camel Straight. Justin Lotus in 12th place. He is in the pits in that pink Mercedes, and that front end does look like it's got a little bit of damage. So that car might, in for a spit and polish before it can go out onto track again. 13th place, Tinus Buerta in in the Karibu Networks car. He's making his way around. Peter Maher in 14th in the Aston Martin. Lee Bouillon currently 15th in the Logistical Nightmare BMW. Very nice looking livery on that car. It seems to be on fire. Then Yandre Buerta in another Aston Martin. So a nice Aston Martin field here today. And that car still limping around with that front end damage, so that might upset their handling a bit. Then Dewald Nell in 18th place in another Honda, also beautiful looking livery on that car. Arno Kraus in 19th place, making his way through Eau Rouge there. Rudolf Bluchnout in another McLaren. Also looks like that car's got a little bit of front end damage, a little bit of a flappy bonnet going on there. Also looks like a bit of side and rear damage, so that will definitely affect the handling and tyre wear on that vehicle. And 21st place, Reginald Mutuleni in the Aston Martin. He's also making his way down to Eau Rouge to start yet another lap of the Spa circuit. But we're going to jump to Nkube. He's 1 second behind Daniel de Villiers. Daniel also joined us in the commentary box a little bit earlier. I love the black and silver livery on that BMW. They are going to try and take the fight to the silver and blue BMW of Daniel de Villiers. 1 second behind, so he's going to try and tuck into that slipstream and see what he can do through Eau Rouge, up Radion and down the Camel Straight. This stage not really making an impact on Daniel is Nkube. He's just sticking behind that BMW. It's nice to see two front engine cars duking out a little bit, and also nice to see that after about 8 hours of racing there's still a little bit of a battle out on track between 10th and 11th place. And we spoke about it earlier, come tomorrow with 2 or so hours to go, it will be interesting to see how the field is spread out. Will there still be close battles, or will the field be spread out? Looking at 3rd place, Sean Stradom, now 7.4 seconds behind. Dean Orkier. So at this stage he's not really doing anything about that gap, as we see the Alan R BMW make its way around. As you said, they actually have more than one vehicle from the Logistical Nightmare community competing in tonight's race, which is always awesome to see. But Tini and Kube in the black and silver and what do you call it? Turquoise. The Mercedes colors on a BMW. It's one way of doing it. Now 1.8 seconds behind, so it does look like Daniel de Villiers is starting to open up just a little bit of a gap. He's starting to pull away from that BMW, and it also does seem like Dean Orkier in second place is starting, to just eke out a little bit of a gap over Sean Strader. But have a look at this. So there's second place Dean Orkier making his way around, and right behind him you will see the Honda of Luke Addison. So this is first place coming around to put yet another lap on second place. That shows you the pace that Jordan Sherritt, Luke Addison and Cody Sherritt has in this car. That, after 8 hours or so of racing, they've already lapped the rest of the field a couple of times. Let's quickly jump over to our heli cam and just ride along with Luke Addison for a while and keep an eye on Dean Orkier. There's Dean Orkier. He's making his way down to Eau Rouge, and just behind him Luke Addison. There we can see Dean Orkier in the foreground. These two are in a battle for first and second, with first running behind second, about to lap. As you see a car coming out the pits, we see Dean Orkier having to take a little bit of evasive action, but good presence of mind to just move over to the inside and allow the BMW to rejoin. And shortly he will be put another lap down by Luke Addison. Just keeping an eye on the chat. The two sister cars are racing each other for P10. Two sister cars for P10. That's the Logistical Nightmare Racing BMW in front. So does that mean, Cameron, that in 11th place in Kube, no, not Daniel de Villiers and Brandon Kruger, no, Antonio and Kube, so are they both from Logistical Nightmare Racing, 10th and 11th place, or was this comment a little while ago that you made? Sorry, might have missed that one. It's getting kind of late after, call it 7 hours of commentary. I might be starting to miss a couple of things. So let's jump our way out to the front. Luke Addison now coming up, gaining on Dean Orkier, which is in second place. Shortly P10 and P11. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Cameron. So P10, Daniel de Villiers battling Kube. Two sister cars. Sorry, I got confused. Yeah, and Kube decided it was time to pit. And okay. So cool. So there are two sister cars. Thank you for clearing that up. So we'll keep an eye on the two of them and see how they make their way around for the rest of the race. And is there at this stage a little bit of a team battle on the go to see who's gonna come out on tops, or is it at this stage more a case of just keeping the two cars on track? Looking now at Luke Addison, he's gaining on Dean Orkier. Luke Addison in first place and Dean Orkier at this stage in second place. They're battling it out, but Luke Addison coming up behind to put another lap on him. We're also speaking gibberish on the radio. Yeah, you know, it's one of those things. You know, it's the time does tend to get to you, and we spoke about it before. You know, we in these endurance races we try our very best not to clock watch. We try and, you know, put everything off that can remind us of how much time is still left in the race. But you know, if I'm talking like this now and you're already talking gibberish on the radio, how are you guys going to be at that 4 o'clock or 6 o'clock tomorrow morning? Speaking about the morning, this stage is 17 minutes past 8 sometime, and it's only now starting to get dark as we can see a little bit of reflection of those headlights on the tarmac. So let's see by what time it is completely dark. We spoke about it earlier about Bathurst, you know, and how it became dark there very quickly. So let's keep an eye on how long it's going to take to get dark on Spa. Tinus Buerta in the Karibu Networks car, making his way around the track. He's 1.5 seconds, now 1.3 seconds behind Dean Cabasa. So after that pit stop, Cabasa has fallen back a little bit into the clutches of Tinus Buerta. So let's see if Tinus Buerta can do anything about this. 1.5 seconds behind, now 1.6. Or will it be a case of Dean Cabasa being able to stretch his leg and open up a little bit of a gap? Cameron, so you say you'll be alone in the car from 11 p.m. until 2 o'clock in the morning. So are you preparing yourself for a little 3-hour stint? It takes some doing, Cameron. You know, I've also done a couple of long stints in my endurance racing time, and I always just try and get myself into that zone, and you know, as I mentioned earlier, try and forget about time. Just go for it. And so you got the coffee pot brewing. Are you going to make yourself a flask and then just keep it next to the rig to sip on it? So, Tinus Buerta gaining 0.7 of a second, 0.5, 0.4. He is gaining on Dean Cabasa, so he's in that slipstream, looking on the inside, and decide against it. Dean just closing that door and saying, nope, not coming through this time. And Tinus will have to wait for another lap, or wait until maybe the last bus stop chicane at the end of the lap, to try and make a passing maneuver on that BMW, unless, you know, he can just stick his nose in somewhere a little bit earlier and get the pass done. But he's definitely made up a fair bit of ground on Cabasa this far. Looking through the rest of the field, unfortunately at this stage, the only other close battle is Lee Bouillon in the logistical nightmare racing BMW. He is chasing after Hansi Mayberg in that slightly modified pink Mercedes from the Hybrid Academy team. So let's see if it will be a case where Bouillon can close up that gap, or will it be a case where Hansi Mayberg with the modified new Ram air intake of the Mercedes can open up a little bit of a gap there. But moving back to Tinus Buerta in the Karibu Networks car, 1 second behind Dean Cabasa. So it does look like at this stage Dean is maintaining that gap of between 0.8 of a second to 1 second back to Tinus Buerta. So Tinus not at this stage making that big of an impact on Dean Cabasa. Same with Lee Bouillon, currently 2.6 seconds behind the Hansi Mayberg in the Hybrid Academy car, also not really making much of an impact. Further up the field, we've got Christopher Radloff, 4.9 seconds at this stage behind Kurt Glashagen in the BMW. So Christopher Radloff trying to chase him down for that 6th position. Just going to keep a little bit of an eye on Tinus Buerta. They are the only orange Delta battle happening at this time. So let's see what impact Tinus can make on the likes of Dean Kabasa. Okay, with that, I did see my power has returned, so it's going to be time for a quick 5 to 10 minute break in the stream, where we're going to do the switch over, get the main power back online, and then we will be back for a nice 6-hour stretch for of uninterrupted streaming. Ladies and gentlemen, come and join me in the next 5 or 10 minutes while I quickly do the switch over. Come and join the chat again, and let's see how the remainder of this race is unfolding.